Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We do a transfer of funds. We need a motion to write a $27.50 check from the foundation account to pay for the annual registration fee. Motion, need a second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Need a motion to adjourn? Okay. Got a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
As I just told us.
We really are off.
That's what you guys are all here for, right? No extra commas.
Order. First off, I would like to, adopt an agenda. Motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Time for pledge of allegiance. We're going to turn my mic on, but we all share good things. Does anybody have anything they would like to share with about the school district?
The other day we did, it would have been 2 Thursdays ago, we had Affirmation Thursday, where we had everybody in the district write a positive affirmation to somebody within the district. And you guys received an affirmation, so just as the board kind of passed that down, if you guys want to take a chance to read it, you can take a chance to read it. So just wanted to share that with you guys.
You want me to share out loud?
Well, it's up to you. It might not be nice. I don't know.
Oh, boy. All right, I am going to read out. Thank you for the support and trust you placed in our administrative team. It is a blessing to work in a district where the board cares about the students, staff, administrators, and community it serves. I appreciate your willingness to serve on the board. That was very nice. Thank you. Anybody else have any good things? All right. On to, do we have any statements from patrons?
No, sir.
Nope. Okay. Awesome. All right. So on to student recognition. Let's see here. Come on. All right. Sorry.
Nope, you're fine. So with student recognition, obviously, earlier this year, back in August, would have been second day of school. We had a bus accident here in St. James, and we had 2 students that made some heroic actions that day. One of those students was unable to be with us tonight, Emily Williams. She could not make it here, but Tandon Baker is here. Also with us tonight, we have the St. James Police Department, we have the St. James Ambulance, and we have the 911 dispatch of Rolla that are here. And Tandon, if you don't mind, if you'd kind of come up here, I think they've got something they would like to share with you.
I brought with me, this is Harold, he is with Phelps Health Helicopter Service, Air Methods. They were on scene also. They may not have dealt directly with the kids. They were dealing with the bus operator, but they wanted to come in also. But Tandon, I don't know if you remember me whenever I was on scene. I shook your hand a couple times and told you what a good job you did. And there's an old proverb, and I'm going to ad-lib it a little bit and change it up, but it goes something like, a group of tiger led by deer is not to be feared as much as a group of deer led by a tiger, but a group of tigers led by tigers be feared the most. And that day in particular, you were leading like a tiger. You jumped into action, you sprang into action, and I want you to know how proud we are of you. Anytime that you would like to join the fields of the emergency medical field, you're more than welcome to come down and do some ride-alongs with us, and we can start leading you in that right direction. But I would like to give you this. This is just simply a challenge coin. We don't give these to everybody. So honestly, in the last 10 years, I've given it out about 6 of them. So congrats on that. Like I said, I don't give these out very often. And on the back, it does have your name. Lead Like a Tiger is inscripted on there with the date of the incident. So I do want to get that to you and say thank you for everything you did to help us. Got Harold here.
Shannon, we got a couple of things for you too. Just, we weren't there, as he said, because we were there taking care of the bus driver, thanks to your guys' quick actions. And that's what we do best, is get there quick and get the person where they need to go quick. And your actions led to us being able to get there and help her. So we wanted to give this to you too.
All right, I think I'll get your picture taken.
All right, I'll do it then. I'm not long-winded like Brian, but Tandon, what you did that day was an incredible thing. And for the St. James Police Department, we want to give you this plaque for your valor and your courage to do what you did that day. It's not every student would be able to just jump up, run up to the front of the bus and stop a bus. So we just want to tell you congratulations and give this plaque to you.
Awesome.
He had other obligations or he would have been here tonight.
You're hating us, aren't you, Tandon?
Hi, Tandon. I'm Stacy from the Rolla 911 Center. This is Jessica Schweitzer. Jessica was actually the 911 call taker who talked to Emily. It's amazing how well young people can do in emergency situations, but this particular time was even more impressive because They took care of the driver, they took care of the younger kids, and we could not be more proud. So this is actually typically given for 911 callers, but since you were such a great team with Emily, we'd like to present this as well. It's our local 911 Hero Award. So
Awesome.
I'll present this. Congratulations. All of them in there, and you made them.
That's what I'm trying to. Like, which way am I going? I said it'll be a mad couple shots. I'm gonna be sitting back.
Just like at the back, right?
Yeah.
Thank you very much for, appreciate it.
Congratulations.
So again, just from the school district standpoint, Tandon, obviously, we'd like to thank you for your actions that day. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. So now we're on to the 2021 livestock report.
If you guys want to escape, you can.
Yeah.
You're more than welcome to stay. We won't blame you if you're running. No, don't get up there and run the meeting.
Sorry, it was taking me a minute to get it brought up over here. So as you guys can see here in livestock report, Mr. Davis and Whitney were unable to make it tonight, so I told them I would do my best to kind of share over some things with you guys on here. As you kind of glance through the report, you can see overall the department summary here. The parts that they wanted to make sure that I highlighted is that their membership, we've seen significant growth within the membership this year. You can see that the members are at 107 for the school year. That's about up 20 kids from last school year. Then you can see that the FFA alumni supporters are still going strong, and they were able to make $20,000 at their steak night. So that's definitely a good kickstart for things. I know one of the things, every time I talk to them, they're really excited about getting things going over at the fairgrounds. Obviously, as we took over control of things there in October. So things are going well in the FFA world, and I'll give you guys a second to kind of scroll through there and see some of the awards and accomplishments that the kids have received through last year to this point this year.
Yeah, it was really awesome. Yeah, I think pretty good year for.
Yeah.
With everything going on with COVID, it's pretty impressive they were able to keep pushing forward and keep moving and still grow as a program. So,
I'm pretty sure it was a record year at the sale.
yeah.
Total of 155,000 with scholarship, barn fund stuff, and the scholarship. But so the kids took home right at about 145,000
That's awesome.
between them all. Yeah.
Cool. All right. We'll move on to consent agenda. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Got a second? Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. On to discussion topics. We have some MSBA discussion topics. A lot of the things were wording changes. There was a few things with, as far as the election. They changed the dates on the Tuesdays that it started. Trying to remember if they shortened it.
They shortened it, yeah. I think it starts 2 weeks earlier or a week earlier. I've got it in my report. I was going to go over the exact time changes, but
Yeah.
the most important part about these are just the legislative changes to filing for board member.
Right. So, I don't know if anybody else has any discussion about it. I mean, it was there for your reading if anybody wants to talk about it, or otherwise we can move on. Okay. All right, so on to action topics. We are to approve the GRP scope change request number 1 for the HVAC and the remaining roofs at the high school. you want to talk about it?
Yeah.
first? Okay.
Yep. So obviously GRP's been in conversation with myself and Wes. I did want to, it's been a long time since we viewed over this. It is a large amount of money, so I wanted to just take a couple minutes and refresh everyone about what Phase 2 was. If you could, Shannon, bring that up so they can kind of follow along with me.
We said it's more than $27.
Yeah, a little bit more than $27. I believe we're looking at $1.8 million. So I thought it'd be worth our time to sit and have some discussion. Just to kind of remind everybody, the first part of what this 1.8 gets us, high school roofing, the parts of the roof that have not been updated in Phase 1. At the end of this, the only part of the roof at the high school that will not be brand new is the 2014 renovated part, which is where the high school office is at. So at that point, our oldest roof there will be 2014. So we should be in good roof condition moving forward for quite a bit of time at the high school. The second part on here is the replace flat metal roof. Just goes in, it's more of the high school roof, just different sections of it. It tells the parts of the roof and what it is made of. High school mechanical scope of work. You can see through there, that is air conditioning units. What we chose to do is attack the parts of the units that are more than 10 years old. So you can see anything that is rooftop, we are replacing with a rooftop. The initial discussion that we had with you guys was to go all rooftop because that's kind of the new modern thing. In discussion with GRP, rooftops cost double the price and their life is not as long. So I did not think that was a good financial decision to do it just because it's the new cool thing to do. So we're just going to update furnaces and put new units in, but we're not going complete rooftop with everything. You can see in there it breaks down which ones and which classrooms are getting the rooftop, have the rooftop, and opposed to which ones we are just updating the stuff in there. Long story short, and it's broken down on one of these you can see on there. Might be the next one. Yeah, so red, I believe, go down a little bit more so I can see. Yeah, so all the red are the new rooftops. All the blue are just the new units that are going in the rooms. And then the gray are ones that we're not touching, but those are also ones that are not more than 10 years old, correct? So that's why we're leaving those alone. The next part that controls scope of work, you can see in there that what that's going to do is it's going to allow us to have temperature control over the building. Essentially, if we have a snow day, by a click of a button, we can turn the heat so it doesn't go up as much. That's where a little bit of the money savings can take place. We can set it up so when the kids get here in the morning, it's at a good temperature, and at night it can go down. Also within this, I know in the past here we've had some cooler issues where coolers have gone bad and we've lost the food that's in them. This will have a control system that if they reach a certain temperature, it'll automatically notify whoever we have set up within there. So potentially could save us money there as well. Also included is spray foaming of the perimeter. So everything within that, it's just going to help with insulation. Ceiling tiles will be reinstalled after the foam is complete, so that is part of it. And kind of as you go through here with the savings summary, you can see expected expenditures to the district long-term, as well as the amount of money that's saved. If we add in everything that we've talked about to this point with the lights in the district that are currently taking place right now, and then some of the stuff here that's going to actually cost more money long-term, we're sitting at around a $38,000 a year savings to the district with the work we're doing. So eventually, the work will pay for itself. It'll take some time, but it does pay for itself, as you guys can kind of see up there. Do you guys have anything? Am I forgetting any big pieces here that we need to discuss, or?
Just to clarify, this is coming out of ESSER, correct?
Yeah.
This is ESSER approved?
We've got a little bit, when I say a little bit, roughly around $100,000 in ESSER 1. It'll come out of, and the rest will come out of ESSER 2. We currently have ESSER 2 sitting in the bank drawing interest. It's at 2.5. This is going to be 1.8. So obviously, the reason this got pushed up a little bit is, correct me if I'm wrong, if we make the order by the end of this month, they can guarantee we'll get it in June, by the end of June, which then GRP is guaranteeing us by the end of September and August, mid-August. Yeah, so that it'll be completed. If we wait after October, there's no guarantee we can get it this summer. So that's kind of why we push things up. We do have the money in the bank, so we figured why not guarantee we can get it done this summer. We've not set that yet. We haven't done the calendar yet. While we are discussing some ESSER, there's a chance with phase 3, things will probably sit for a little bit. We had our MASA meeting this Tuesday, and for the first time, the conversation was changed to if the legislators approve it. So that game has begun. I think they are starting to play the game of they want to ensure that public education is going to do some things politically that they want them to do before they give us our money. There's probably they're getting interest off this right now while it's sitting in the bank too. So that was the first time I've heard that in conversation since ESSER has been in existence. If you remember correctly, it was supposed to be here at the end of August, and then now they're saying, well, they might get around to it in May. So there is some dwindlings of the big chunk, but right now they're still saying stay optimistic. But that's where we sit with that. But we do currently have ESSER 2, and that's what this will come out of. So any other questions for myself, or if you need more logistical questions, obviously they're here.
Okay. All right, so I'll need a motion as an action topic to approve this.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, I need a second. Second. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Thank you, guys. Yeah. Yeah, very much. Yeah, yeah. Wes is sweating. Wes was sweating over there, so.
I bet a
yeah.
lot of people will clap for you guys when we don't get leaked on during the school day.
Yeah. Yes. So, well, and thank you guys very much. Really appreciate it. So, thank you.
You guys are welcome to stay too.
Yeah.
If he got to leave, I'm leaving.
I don't blame you.
You're welcome. All right, so we're on to the superintendent's report.
Great. Kind of good things from my report. The first thing I wanted to talk about, FFA Grasslands team made it to state, so that's a pretty amazing accomplishment. Anytime our kids are successful, or honestly, anytime our kids are just trying hard at being successful, that's something that I want to recognize and tell them a good job about. So I wanted to make sure that I mentioned the Grasslands team tonight. First annual Tiger Trot is something that we're taking a stab at this year. It's going to be on November 27th. I would urge anyone in this room to consider joining. If you're a walker, you can feel free to come walk. You can come help out, or you can really get after it and enter the 10K and get your run on. Within that, all the money that we make off of it, we are going to use to buy student gifts before winter break. Also, we've kind of thrown in the caveat, if this first year we have lower participation, we'll just hang on to the money until next year until we do have enough money to do that. Right now, my goal was to get 50 the first year. I was told I was crazy. We're sitting 20-ish. So hopefully we can get there. So if somebody in this room signs up, it would be great. Kind of moving into just what we have going on around the district. One thing we've been looking at is a new software program. It's called SUI, Software Unlimited. It is a financial system. Currently, the district uses something called SysK12. It's partnered with SIS, which we're not changing that. That would be a big overhaul that we would have to get many conversations going, because that affects everyone in the district. From the financial side, it's more limited on who it affects. Just to be honest, it's a system that I used where I was before St. James, so I have a bigger comfort level with it. And as the guy that has to kind of lead the way with finances. I thought it was important that there's some comfort there. So that was kind of what sparked the conversation. We had the company come in and share stuff with us. The rest of the office was sold rather quickly on how much more it can do. The bright side is it's going to save us about $8,000 a year because it's actually a cheaper system, and the amount that we get out of it is actually quite a bit more. So we're kind of working in the phases now of transitioning into that, hopefully before this budget season comes up, which we'll start working on next year's budget around January. So could start seeing changes rather quickly, but won't be anything on everyone else's side until next school year. They won't see any changes. So I just wanted to kind of keep you guys in the loop with that. Nothing on your end that will really be affected by that. Parent-teacher conferences, we're hosting those October 26th from 3:30 to 7, and October 28th as well. With those, we met as an administrative team and kind of talked through what we thought was best for our district. We looked at what other area schools were doing. We did feel it was best at the time to move forward with virtual parent-teacher conferences. The good thing about virtual parent-teacher conferences is we actually saw district-wide more parents that were contacted because there is the easeability to it. There are downfalls, obviously, of doing it virtual as well. Kind of from a protecting our staff standpoint, we feel if we're telling them you have to be here and you have to talk to people, we kind of owe it to them to still protect them from that and keep them from being possibly subject to quarantines. So we thought it was just the best route for the district at the time. So that's kind of how we've got things going there. The next part that I wanted to talk to you guys about is your community health. You should probably see a flyer sitting in front of you somewhere. Last year, if you guys would remember, Dr. Johnson entered with, I believe it was Cox Health, through a grant where they have somebody that's here for us, and staff members as well as students can go and visit with them. That grant ends in December. I was notified earlier this month that starting in January to keep that person on with us, it would cost the district about $15,000 and some change, and then obviously next year we would have to pick up the full, which would be about $30,000. I had the luxury of my last year when I was at Cuba. We had met with your community health, and we'd started the process of setting some things up there. I didn't get to see how that worked out, but obviously now they're doing it full on, and I had some conversations with them, and it's been something they've really seen positive with. The bright side of this, your community health is ran by federal grants, so essentially they're going to hire us a full-time employee at their expense, and it'll be somebody that is here. We're still working on a location, but we will have essentially a doctor's office on campus. Any student can go there, any staff member can go there. There's zero expense to the district. You can see all the things that they offer for us. For example, you guys know, and it's in our agenda somewhere here, vaccinations. There are vaccinations other than the COVID vaccination, and kids have to get those. So, you know, they call the parent, make sure it's okay. They can give them any vaccination while they're here. They can give them any antibiotic while they're here. Kid needs their medicine, they can get it. Obviously, all this is through parental consent and meeting with the parents, but they can do all these things. Sports physicals for us. It's a full-time employee for us, so now our kids can get free physicals while at school. So there are a lot of benefits. I've yet to find any downfalls. Newburgh had implemented this a couple years ago. They had nothing bad to say. Cuba's had nothing bad to say. Rolla is actually working on a partnership right now. So we hope to pick this partnership up in January and kind of go from there. So just wanted to make you guys aware of what's going on with your community health. The next one, COVID-19 updates. If we take a minute here, the district is in a really good place right now with COVID. Last week, let me get on there so I don't lie to you. Last week we only had one positive case within the district. The week before we had 0. The week before 2, as well as the week before 2 cases. So right now, as of earlier today, unless somebody got quarantined since last time I looked, we were sitting around 6 kids in quarantine. So right now, we're currently in a good place district-wide. Last week, DESE had emailed, 2 weeks ago, DESE emailed superintendents a new option that they were going to go with. The option's called Test to Stay. They told us the following week on a Tuesday they would have a webinar for us. Since that point, we've kind of been working on things. And if you kind of scroll down to the next slide, it'll bring that up for them. You can see kind of the matrix that we're looking at going by to fit into things. Obviously, part 1 up there is something that we currently already do through guidance of the health department. If you're fully vaccinated or had COVID within the last 90 days, you don't have to be quarantined. Part 2 is something, that is how we started the school year. If everybody's fully masked and socially distanced, then you do not have to quarantine. Part 3 is also how we started the school year. If everybody's fully masked but within sight of 3 feet of one another, then you were still able to come to school, but you could not participate in extracurricular activities and or you were supposed to quarantine when you're outside of school. Part 4 is the new part to us. What Part 4 states is if you are a direct contact and you are quarantined by the health department, that you have an opportunity to stay in school. What DESE has stated within this, anybody that was a close contact that chooses to want to come to school has to test 3 times within the first 7 days of their quarantine. Obviously, each one of those tests would have to be negative. They do not recommend that you do those tests day back to back to back. Perfect world, if a kid were to get quarantined on a Monday, call the parents, say, hey, your kid has an opportunity to stay here at school with this test to stay, is that's the option you want to go with. If they say yes, we can provide a test for the student right then and there. They stay at school. Then on a Wednesday, let's say, just for the sake of getting through it, we'd test them again. They're negative. They can stay at school. And then again on Friday, they can stay at school. The other caveats to this are DESE says that the students have to stay fully masked the entire 14 days. So the testing only has to take place within the first 7, but they have to stay fully masked the entire time. There is another caveat to this. If the person that got you quarantined lives in your house with you, you are not allowed to do the test to stay because the odds of you getting it, they say, are too high. So unfortunately, that's the only time that you would still get quarantined moving forward with the test to stay, is if, let's say, mom or dad has it and you're living in the house. The next part is the extracurricular activities, athletics, band, any of that extracurricular stuff. They require them to test on the day of their event. So, for instance, let's say I'm my 3 times within the first 7 days, but then my last one of those 3 was on Thursday, but then Friday night I have a football game. Before that football game, I would have to test again to compete. If there's a Saturday event, we have to test the kid on the Friday before they leave. If the kid doesn't make it into the district and test, they could then in turn go to a doctor's office and pay to have that tested. Right now they said the tests are going for about $260. If a family makes that choice, they have that ability, but we are not allowed to let them on the bus if they don't have it cleared through a doctor. They cannot do a take-at-home test. They said that we can't count those, so they can't do those, but they would have to have an actual doctor's note. If we had any sporting events over breaks, obviously wear nurses, since they're the people that are allowed to give the tests when nurses are not here. That is an instance where somebody might have to pay to get their kid eligible if they wanted them to participate in that activity if they are quarantined. Am I forgetting anything big within that, Dr. Williams? They have. So Misha came out with shortly, probably end of August, beginning of September, they said that there were some schools obviously not following rules. So they put into play some legislation that said if you play a quarantined kid, you will forfeit any game that the quarantined kid played in. And they were going to try to take you out of postseason play if you played a kid. So probably 3 or 4 days after DESE came out with their version, they said if you get support by your local health department, they will acknowledge this. I sent our plan to the local health department. They got back to me earlier today. There were some just wording things within our plan they wanted changed, but they have accepted our plan. So, which it goes right off of what DESE gave us. We simplified it a little because their document was 15 pages. We simplified it to about 1.5 pages to give to families, and then our little shorthand kind of document just to make it easier to understand. Yes, sir.
If you fall into number 3 and you're part of extracurricular activities, you'd rather default to number 4.
Correct.
Yeah,
These are just all of the options that are out there that are accepted by the health
Why wouldn't
department.
they change number 3 anyway?
Yeah, I can't speak for the
If you're in
Department of
webinars with
Education.
them, if you're in webinars with them and they are asking for advice, maybe
Many
tell them.
questions were asked in that
Okay.
webinar. There were many questions that were asked. Some questions were dodged, others were answered. There is still option 5 here. Because reality is, we will have someone within this district that says, you will not test my kid, and that's fine. They just have to quarantine for 14 days. That we will have people in this district that say, my kid will not wear a mask to school. That is fine, but you will still have to quarantine your kid. Those are the caveats, obviously. There is a gray area, and I want to get that out in the open right now because I get it. People are going to ask it, and I don't know how to defend it other than say, ask DESE. DESE was very clear that kids will wear their mask at school. Someone point blank asked them in front of 370 superintendents on a webinar. They said, what about extracurricular activities? So do they have to wear the mask there? The answer, almost a direct quote from DESE, was, it's really hard to play an instrument in a band wearing a mask. I also agree with that, but there are going to be people that say, you got to be kidding me, my kid has to wear a mask at school, but then they don't have to at a band concert. I understand. I'm going with what DESE tells us we can do.
So back to if they have to pay a doctor on the weekend and it costs $250, does the district have to acquire that kind of dollar amount on every one of those tests?
No.
Or what is the difference in that?
If they have the only reason they'd have to do it is if they just don't do what they're supposed to do. We will give them the test Friday and they're good. I'm saying inevitably when you're dealing with kids, you're going to have a kid that isn't going to go in on a Friday one day, or they, for some reason or another, they don't get the test.
So are we getting like an insanely better deal per test than what the doctor's office charges to
We-
have to
we-
use this many tests?
We currently, last year we got on a grant, so we get tests for free. Yesterday we received, all of our tests had actually gone out date last Saturday. So we had a little period here where we didn't have any, but yesterday we got 160 tests in. So we have 160 that are sitting in the district right now.
Is Phelps Health still doing rapid tests for our students and staff? So if we're closed on Christmas break, could they go to Phelps Health?
We're still working on if they're going to, when they will do it, when they won't. So that could hopefully be an option, but right now I don't have the guarantee that they'll do it. Just wanted to make you guys aware of the new changes in the world of COVID. So we've been working on the plan. Dr. Williams and myself and the district nurses came up with what they could feasibly do, because this is going to be a huge strain on our nurses. This is a lot of work. It could get out of hand in a hurry, if COVID numbers go back up. So we kind of started on the plan. Today, actually, I met with all of our directors and administrators. We went over the plan. Our current action is Friday. The buildings will address this with their staff, so they know that the staff knows what's going on. And then that will become our practice as of Friday. We've been able to take our time a little bit with this, as currently within the district we don't have anyone currently quarantined that this could have gotten off of quarantine. So the people that we currently have quarantined are either living in the house with someone, or with certain circumstances this would not have put them back in school. So we've been able to kind of take our time with this and make sure we do it right. So to answer your question, starting Monday, this will be our practice. Next on here, we have the nutrition report. The nutrition center is mostly completed. We're able to work out of it. We've ordered enough frozen products, so our food bill has been pretty high the last month. The good thing is the idea with adding a freezer over there has worked out for us, because now we found out we could get food if we could order it by a truckload full. So we've been able to order truckloads full, which we would not have had space to do before. But now, like frozen meat and everything, we've got enough to get us through, I know through January, maybe probably further into the year. So now all we have to worry about is produce and like milk and stuff like that. So things are getting in a better place there. Facility report. GRP is currently here working on our lights. You're sitting in an LED room right now. Kind of how they told us things were going to go is first they just go through the ones that can just pop in straight LEDs. Then they go back through with the ones that have to change the balances. And then the last thing they do is put in the motion sensors. Their estimated time of finish on that is middle of December. So it's a process, but they're working on it right now. When we come back from Christmas, we should have all of the lighting done. Branco's been working on their final punch list items. We've been working with Dake Wells in that. Out of the 82 items that we were given the last time we did a walkthrough, they have made substantial growth in those. There's a couple things that are not going as well. Just things I'm not going to budge on, and they don't think need done. So there's still some discussion there. For example, the two things are, one of the items that I'm not real happy about is when they did touch up paint on the stairwells, obviously since the first layer was sprayed on and it was shinier, so then it looked almost dull in certain spots. Well, they came back through and redid that, and in my opinion, it's 3 times worse than it was. They are holding strong on the fact it's going to cost the guy like $15 grand in paint to come in and put that paint in. It's not fair to the district. If it were my house, I wouldn't accept it if it didn't look brand new. So I don't think it's acceptable to take the taxpayers' money and accept something that doesn't look brand new. That sounds harsh. I don't want to see people lose money, but at the end of the day, we deserve a product that looks brand new. If you guys remember the sound barrier in those rooms, we found code that states specifically we're out of compliance if we cannot access the entire unit. That would be roughly a $40,000 eat for them to do, so they're holding strong that we need to look at other options. I'm holding strong that we're not doing anything that doesn't follow code. So those are probably the two issues that are going to hang on the longest. Other than that, honestly, the other 80 items have been going really well. So I'm optimistic that soon we will get done. They did. So on the brickwork that looks like Mr. Copeland had some of his youngers come over and do. They did. We found a resolution there. We painted some things gray to match the floor, and I do think it looks better. Yeah, it couldn't look worse. I felt it was acceptable. So we did move there. Funny thing is, after they kind of outed themselves a little bit, when Sean was here and he was walking me through it, he said, "Bet you didn't even see this one, did you?" And up top, kind of by the elevator, there's another spot that they had done it, but it actually didn't look very bad. I never would have noticed it if it wasn't pointed out, honestly. So they did a pretty good job on that one, so I assume they did that first and thought, hey, we can do that down here too. Well, the down there did not look good. Just a kind of a, don't necessarily need, we don't need a board action on this, but I just kind of wanted to see what the board thought. We have several pallets of bricks. To my understanding, we had to purchase these bricks when we did projects in case something went wrong with the rest of the brick, that we would have extra to match up. Kind of in discussion and looking at putting these out for bid, there's probably a better chance than not a better chance that we'd sell them for about $1. Even though they are worth more, nobody's going to buy just a pallet of bricks because the likelihood of it matching up to what they need is not very good. So I called just trying to clean up the yard here, called RTI and said, hey, what are the chances that your masonry program could use these, specifically our kids that are there? They seemed very excited about the opportunity to do it. They said, hey, if your kids even want to build something for your community or like a mailbox for somebody or something, we'd be all about helping them out with that. So kind of just my thought is, let's donate the bricks to RTI. Our kids that are in masonry can get some use. If not, just other area kids will get some use out of the bricks, where we risk maybe being able to sell them for $1 or maybe just sitting in our yard for the next 10 years. So that's something that if there are no objections, I will move forward on making a donation to RTI for those bricks. Technology report. The Emergency Connectivity Fund, that is the kind of the Apple grant. It's not a grant through Apple, but obviously since we're an Apple school, that's what we would be buying on our devices. The total expenditure to the district on that is $1.3 million. What $1.3 million gets us is everyone in the district a new iPad. Anybody that has the laptops, they'd get a new laptop. We were approved for that grant. Within that, the grant covers financially every single iPad. Obviously, the MacBooks are more expensive, so there is an out-of-pocket there. We would have to buy all the cases for the devices still, because that's not covered in the grant. The bright side of what 1.3 also adds to it is insurance that's protected on the devices. So the insurance company that we're looking at would repair devices unlimited amount of times for us over the 3-year span. We currently budget roughly $200,000 a year to replace broken devices, and the insurance was roughly $200,000, and we felt that would be advantageous for us to add that. Obviously, after the $800,000, there's a little left over there that the district will have to pay, but we currently make the lease payment on the devices anyway, which is $350,000 a year. So over the long haul of this, the district is going to save not as much as we initially thought, but we are going to save 2 years of payments, so we're going to save a little over $500,000. So we are still moving forward and doing that, and optimistic that January-ish, everybody will be getting new devices. Activities report. We've got volleyball districts coming up, football districts coming up, and the 30th we have cross-country districts. Winter sports first practice date is November 1st. And then I put on here high school gym floor update. Coach Shockley, you want to hit on any of the floor or the scoreboard, or do you want me to get this?
Yeah, so we had new scoreboards installed, thanks to PCB and Hartley's. They installed them, they look great. If you haven't had a chance to get in there, we've had 2 events in there for volleyball games. Currently, right now, we shut the gym back down. They're going to do some resurfacing on the paint, but that should only be a week. So during the non-contact week of winter sports, where they can't be in there anyway, that's whenever we're going to let everything cured. And November 1st, we should be off and running into a new gym floor that's going to last 75 years.
Heard that before.
Hey, Missouri Flooring did tell me if there's anything we don't like in 2 years when we redo our floor, they'll do it different for us. So obviously I hope that's not true, but it kind of feels like that sometimes. I did ask Coach Shockley to come tonight to kind of help me through some stuff here too, just to kind of to put on the board's radar, and we have some time to talk about it and think about it. During girls junior high basketball, the conference has done something for the last couple years where they do a day game. This was not our year to host, so we did not have to worry about that with girls. Now during boys, which will start in November, this is our year to host a game. I've talked with Miss Lepper. Yeah, I lost it for a second. Miss Lepper and Mr. Copeland, because obviously, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, 5th grade plays their game over here. That's their Kiwanis game, but they play it over here, and typically the elementary has gone to it. And then our junior high game, they play a 6, 7, 8, or just a 7, 8.
Are you talking about with the
7, 8. Yeah, so we have discussed a way that we can still be cognizant that COVID is there, but not exclude our kids from things that other districts are doing. For example, when instead of letting everyone go, when 8th grade's playing, we just let 8th grade in there. When 7th grade's going 7th grade, I really feel like our gyms are big enough that we can still keep in class cohorts and say this class will sit here, this class will sit here. Is it going to be perfect? No. But that's something that as we are starting to, cases are declining, things are moving forward. With winter season coming, these are going to have to be things we decide on real quick. Obviously, homecoming you can do outside. You ain't going to do an outdoor dance for court warming. You know, these are discussions we're going to have, and things that we're going to have. Honestly, with 0 cases last week, 1 case last week, 0 before, my comfort level is relaxing a little bit. Obviously, I know that can change overnight, but I think we've got to kind of go with the flow of things. Speaking with the health department over DESI's changes, I think it's fair to say our health department's been very strict with COVID all along. Dr. Williams and Nurse Jackson were in the room with me when they said, hey, the next step is probably we're back to normal. We are progressing that way as a society. Whether it's good or bad, I don't know, but it's where we're going. At this point, those are just some of the things thinking in the future that we're talking about, and that we're still going to make sure we do try and protect our kids as much as possible without them losing out on experiences. So just kind of wanted to bring that up to you guys. Did I butcher anything there? Is that everything I was supposed to mention? All right, sounds good. Financial report. Taking a look at the finances. Right now, spending is up a little bit to this point in the year. We've spent 2% more than we had at this point last year. That does not alarm me at all. Obviously, last year we were doing no professional development. Spending was shut down because of COVID. So the 2% increase is not alarming at all. We've spent about 20% into opposed to 18 last year. You can see on there that revenues are up this year as well. So if you're going to spend 2% more, it's nice to be in a year that you're making more money as well. Something that I've been looking into, and it took me a little bit just as not dealing with the finances last year. With our expenditures up and us spending more money, we've actually spent around $250,000 less than last year. So it took me a while to figure that out, but last year we still had bond money from the construction project, so our budget was higher last year. So that's why there's a discrepancy there, because that bond money is obviously not in the budget this year, so we didn't spend as much money there in it. Safety report. We've got a safety report from Tony Gray. You can see on here some of the things that he has listed. Truancy has been a big issue for him. I think that's a big issue around the state right now, especially just a lot of people are still living in the COVID world of, well, we don't have to come to school. Well, you need to be in school some way or another, whether it be virtually or here in seat. You can see his numbers there. iPad recoveries, that's been something last year as well, that we lost a lot of iPads just from kids going virtual and then not coming back or moving districts over a year of not coming here. So a lot of time has been ate up with doing that. After school pickup line, traffic, things have gotten better throughout the school year, but there are still some rough patches. We've got some parents that want to drive the wrong way in every morning or every afternoon, and we've got others that'll drive through a field if somebody's in their way. So Ms. Officer Gray has been focusing on some of those things. Some initiatives that he has coming up. He's got a safety committee meeting October 27th, November within the month. He's looking at kind of working on bringing in a drug dog for us. Alice is the kind of the system that we use in case there were ever an active situation within the school. They have updated Alice. Now they're calling it Alice 2.0. So he's going to, November 1st, that's officially released at what that looks like. Obviously, he's going to go get trained in it, and then we're going to train staff in it and make sure that we're up on the best and most current practices at the time. And then looking long-term, obviously, he's got DARE coming up. So any questions about SRO Gray's report? Perfect. The immunization report there, you guys can take a look at that. And I will turn things over to Dr. Williams and building level reports.
Thank you. so I'll let you kind of look at where we stand with our attendance. We have a good number of students coming and attending every day, being at 94.3% for the district, so that's pretty positive. As we look through, starting with a good thing, Ms. Hartley and I sat down and met with every teacher team across the district. We spent a day in each building just meeting with people during their plan time, and that was a great conversation. We looked at some instructional data and kind of got their feedback in ways that we could all work together, and so it was just a great conversation about building our collective efficacy as a team to work with students. We were going to share the state assessment data with you all as well, but the state has extended that embargo to the 1st of December. So we will bring that report to you in December after that embargo is lifted. We used our PD survey and the data that came from the state academically, as well as our academic data from the district, to really develop a 5-year plan to meet the needs of teachers and to address all of the curriculum development that needs to occur, and created a 5-year plan for ensuring that we get everything done that needs to be completed. And so that was shared with teachers today as well. At Lucy, you can see that they are doing several things, working on curriculum, getting into their standards, and really working on those things that are important at each grade level for students to master. Just kind of a highlight out of their report was that Riker Davis in kindergarten was chosen as the I know I'm gonna say that right. Artsonia, thank you, Artist of the Week finalist. So that's pretty exciting for him. And then this week we had Missouri Day celebration coming up here on the 21st. At the middle school, they are working on curriculum as well, getting their standards-based report cards all completed for 6th grade. It'll be the first time that 6th grade is doing that. And so teachers have been hard at work at that. And if you notice that for our student recognition, Fort Leonard Word is helping us to recognize students who are portraying great character traits. So they recognized Kylie Van Schleich in October for her loyalty, love, and passion. So that's pretty exciting that other people are seeing the great things that our kids are doing. And then Kids Harbor awarded an award to Caden Watkins as well. At the high school, they are busy working on PLCs and getting into their benchmark data, and have been busy working on curriculum in that way as well. Having some great conversations about how they are using that data and getting into building their CFAs. So it's been a very busy time at the high school as well. And that's okay. Did any of the principals want to add anything to highlight from your buildings? No? All right.
How did the enrollment numbers work?
Okay.
92.5, 96.4.
Let me go back.
The immunization report, and it's different. Like, how does that work?
Well, it could be the day that we pulled.
Okay.
Honestly.
So like the immunization's probably going to be from the beginning of the year, whereas as kids leave.
Yeah, because that does change daily.
And it'll be an average, I'm assuming.
Yes.
For instance, last time I looked, only 741 of the 765 kids that were here last year have actually re-enrolled this year. So it takes a while to track down, did they go to another school? Is it educational neglect? Where are they at? Our middle school, she had 374 of 374. High school, we were down from 532 to 516, so we're still kind of looking things there.
Is that the online registration?
Yes.
Registered numbers, yeah. Oh, so see, it's already changed at the elementary, so now they're just completed. So they change quickly. Got a phone call today, actually, from Jim Fleming. The city has been working on a FEMA grant. They have been approved for the first round of the FEMA grant So now they're in the part where they'll start working with the school district as well as the community. What that looks like in complete, I don't know yet. Since I just kind of found out about it today, what I've seen in other districts are facilities can be built and paid for through FEMA. The caveat to that is it has to be accessible to the community, obviously, in case there's ever a tornado. For instance, I know one happened in Neosho when I was there. We were working on it, and they used it. It was an indoor practice football facility / baseball facility / storm shelter when needed. So this could be a very good thing for our district. We're still in the early stages of finding out how much we got approved for and what we can do. What he had asked from me is to find some people to participate with. And when I said, well, who are you looking for? He had asked me to ask the board if there would be anyone that would have any interest. So I don't need an answer tonight, but it probably would be good. In early conversations with him, it looks like it's probably going to be some committee meetings and probably not some fun evenings. But you can sit next to me and we can get through it together. So
So it would be a school structure
it would be
on city property?
no, it would be on our property, but we would just have to have it accessible during a tornado. Obviously, if there's time for people to get there. Just out of
It's more towards like if we have a tornado and we lose half the town, people have a place to go and get
Yes.
water
Right,
and
correct.
common goods and
Yep.
stuff like that.
Correct.
Right?
They have one at Licky that was approved.
Okay.
Right behind the school, and they use it as a practice gym, but
Yeah.
it is a FEMA building.
So what the extent of what we're looking at now, I truly don't know, so I don't want to speculate. But there's something out there, and we've been approved for round one, so it could be a good thing for our district. MSBA news. Mental wellness has still been the focus of all MSBA conversations, not only with students, but as well as with staff. They've kind of coined a new phrase. It's called team care. What team care is they're urging schools to consider the mental well-being of their staff and providing support for the staff throughout the school year. Obviously, that's something that we've had many conversations on. What is the best way to do that? Dr. Williams has been meeting with groups of staff members, kind of looking at what do they think they need. So we're in the process of kind of staying up with MSBA there. I did want to take a quick minute. Obviously, we've got conference coming up. Last year, my first year within the district, we did MSBA virtually. Do you guys, are we riding together? How do you guys envision the trip occurring, I guess?
All right with me.
I usually go up early
Okay.
and I'm going to go to the president's workshop Thursday, so I
Okay.
figured I was just going to go early.
Okay. So you'll be early too. Okay, so how about I rephrase that question to, if you want to ride with the district or with us, just get a hold of us here soon so we can make sure we have vehicles reserved and we can do things. If you're going up on your own, feel free to do what you want. You're adults. So just let me know if you need a ride. I guess is what I'm
Try not to
asking.
get in trouble in the school vehicles. Is what you're
Yeah,
saying, so.
yeah, correct. Folks, that's all I have.
Make a motion to adjourn to closed session.
Second.
All right. All those in favor, raise your hand. All right. Closed session.